Hi there, this is Dani, and the channel is You and Me Living Free. And what we're going to talk about today is why am I always so over budget? Why? It's a question I ask myself a lot. So, if you don't know, I quit my job over 9 months ago to travel in my minivan for 12 months. I gave myself 1 year. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I know it's going to be really hard to go back to real life if I have to. So I'm just leaving it open because I'd really love to stay on the road. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm in a beautiful place. I'm in the desert. I'm outside of Quartzsite, Arizona. I came for the RTR and for the big tent show. And right now I'm out Plamosa Road, past all the campers, on our way to Baus. But anyway, it's about 10 miles past all the campers. I'm out here in the beauty, a little closer to the mountains. I wanted to come out, set up a chair, give you a beautiful view, sit on a little hilltop. But here's the deal. I don't have a fuzzy little microphone. I need one of those fuzzy things. I need a designated microphone. I have not done that, and I wish I had, and I'm really sorry. But the wind is always blowing out here in the desert, so I couldn't sit outside. Because one of the first things I learned about video is if you're shaky and people will still watch your video if you might have a shaky camera or you don't have the best camera work. But if you have terrible sound, people will switch off your video quicker than anything. So I'm not going to do a video out there with the sound all blowing around. Okay, enough of that ado. Let's get right into it. I have my handy dandy little notes here. Okay, why am I always so over budget? Number one, this is going to sound funny, but it is true, and I'm telling you this. I was never very good at budgeting. Ever since my divorce, I've never had much money. I've always been really tight on money, but I've never had much of a budget. I just keep my main expenses down as low as humanly possible. My rent and the cars and everything. I keep those expenses, those monthly things and those regular things, those fixed costs, I keep them extremely low, and then I have a little bit of leeway because I like to eat out once in a while. I don't like to feel completely restricted. I don't buy clothes very often, and the clothes that I do buy are very inexpensive, but when I want something, I kind of want to be able to buy it. So I've always been terrible at budgeting. So I don't know what made me think that once I got on the road that I would kind of magically get good at it. I know that sounds absurd. You're like, of course not, Dani, but I really did, because I think that's one of the things about travel, and I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit trail, but I want to share, like, one of those things about travel is we travel because we go to a new place and we get to experience ourselves as a new Dani, as a new us. Travel changes us, and it helps shape who we become. And so maybe I just thought that the new Dani would be great at budgeting. But I can say over these last 9 years, I have gotten 9 months, 9 years, 9 months, I have gotten a lot better. But so what I'm saying is, if you're one of those people in your real life who lives on not that much income and who has instead of budget, I call it a spending plan because it just makes me feel better. So I call it spending plan. But if you are one of those people who can stick to a spending plan, then chances are on the road you will too. If you're not one of those people who is a really good researcher, really good planner, not good on a budget, then it's going to be tougher for you. And I know that sounds just logical, but there it is. Never been good at budgeting. That's the main reason I'm over budget. Here's another personal thing about me, and I just decided I'm going to share it because it's real, and it is one of the main reasons I'm over budget. When I first started out, I had a budget for what I thought I would need, and then I had an emergency budget set aside. But as soon as I got out, things started happening, both personally and with the van. Like I had to have some dental work done. And even though I had dental insurance for the first part of it, it still cost me like $2,000 or something. That's a big thing that I was not counting on. And so I let myself start by putting just a couple of things on a charge card. I hate carrying a balance. I normally never carry a balance in my regular life, but when I started van life, I started putting emergency stuff on a credit card. It was the worst thing I did, but at the same time, if I had strictly stuck to my budget, I probably would have been back in Kansas City by now and I wouldn't be traveling anymore. It just has cost more than I thought. So I'm willing to kind of do the credit card overage thing for now, and then I'll settle up with savings and everything when I'm done with my traveling and see what it is. But it's a mindset of, when something else comes up, I can put it on the credit card so I can kind of keep going. And if I really wanted to stick to my budget, if that was the most important thing, was sticking to the budget, then it would have been, nope, you're out of money. That's it. This is sticking to the budget. But what I decided is, this is the 1 year I'm giving myself. And I'm going to try to do this without crying. You guys know, if you've been watching me, you know I'm a crybaby. But I have given myself this 12 months, and life is short. And anything can happen to any one of us at any given time. You could get a diagnosis, you could have a job loss, lose someone you love, anything. So this is the time I gave myself, and I decided, even if I'm over budget, I'm gonna keep up with it. I'm gonna give myself this year. It might be 11 months instead of 12, actually, if I'm really honest, but I'm giving myself this year, and if I'm over budget, the budget is important, but it is not the most important thing. It is not the only thing. It is just one consideration. So those are a couple of good reasons why I'm over budget. Now I'm going to get into kind of the nitty-gritty of why I'm over budget. And these are more specific details. Here's a big one. I travel back and forth to Kansas City. So I have gone back and forth to Kansas City maybe 5 times this year. I made maybe 5 or 6 big trips, and those trips were anywhere from like a few weeks to 2 months out, right? And then I'm back like anywhere from a few weeks to a few days. Not a few days. I think my shortest time back was maybe a week and a half. And then I'm back out on the road again. But when you're in Kansas City, to get to Quartzsite where I am now, it is 1,500 miles. So that means gas money for sure. That's the most obvious thing, right? It means a lot of gas money on all the forward and the back. I underestimated how many trips back and forth I would make, and I underestimated how much that would cost. Gas is a big thing, but here's what else. When I'm traveling on the road, when I'm doing a big trip like out to Quartzsite, it took me, 4 or 5 days to get here. I'm less likely to cook for myself. I'm more likely to eat out. I'm more likely to spend more money on snacks and stuff at gas stations instead of just eating what I have in the van. It costs so much more money because of all these different things. Sometimes it's sightseeing and tours and things that I want to do, but not usually. Usually it's those little everyday things that add up a lot more. Now, on the beginning, first, let's say 4 to 6 months of my travel, I would do a hotel every once in a while. Now, I'm really used to living in the van. I get everything I need in the van, and I don't feel like, I need a hotel so that I can really rest, take a good shower, have that extra space, have that Wi-Fi. Anyway, I don't do hotels anymore. I haven't done a hotel in months, since it was 100 degrees over the summer, and we're in January. So it's probably been 6 months since I did a hotel, maybe 5 months since I did a hotel. Woo, Dani. Okay. Also, I thought that I would almost never do campgrounds. And what I found is some places you go, like Southern California, like a lot of places that you really want to be, you're gonna maybe sometimes have to do a campsite. Sometimes you want it for the shower, sometimes you want it for the laundry and to be in one place and get all your stuff done. Sometimes they just don't allow any overnight parking anywhere near you want to be. Hello, Santa Barbara. So I've stayed in more campgrounds over the course of this year than I thought I would. So let's recap. We're spending more money because of trips back and forth to Kansas. We're spending more money because of hotels and then campgrounds, which I didn't think I was going to need as much of. Here's the other thing about driving back and forth. Not only is it the money for everything I mentioned, but it's car maintenance. I have put, I think, 40,000 miles or so on this van, and it's an older van. It needed, brakes and tires and maintenance and some $600 issue and all kinds of stuff. And I just didn't, that was kind of part of emergency fund. And what I really should have done is just built that into the cost instead of saying, yeah, I know my van will need some stuff and I'll buy $1,000 for this year. No, that was not near enough. It was already over 2,000 for my 40,000 miles. So you just never know on that stuff. And I didn't budget enough for the maintenance because of all the miles, because I underestimated that. Here's another thing I did. I underestimated the pricing of gas, of groceries. Those are the main two expenses when you're on the road: gas, snacks, groceries, eating out. I eat out less and less and less. As this year has gone by, I've started out eating out less and less and less. Number one, it's good. It's hard to find good places when you're on the road to eat out sometimes. I mean, if you're someplace like Phoenix or Santa Barbara, there's no shortage of great places. But if you're in like Quartzsite or something, sorry to Quartzsite, but there's not that much good food. There's a couple places, and I'll tell you about them in another video. But so what happens is I set my budget mostly on Kansas prices. Well, Kansas gas and Kansas groceries are a hell of a lot cheaper than they are most other places. So almost every place I have been has had much more expensive pricing. Now, a lot of times I'll try to go to like Walmart supercenters and things like that. But when you're in a remote place, like, well, Page, Arizona had a Price Chopper, had a Walmart Supercenter. But even around that, when I was in that whole area, there was a lot of desolation. There was a lot of isolated places that I wanted to stay in and was interested in going. And that was great, but they jack up the prices in those little tourist towns. And like here in Quartzsite, it's very expensive for groceries. I will say that Quartzsite's not near as expensive as what it could be. They could really be gouging all of us, but they're not. I don't think the prices are that bad. Now, I'm comparing it to other places like maybe Southern California, other touristy places as well, and they really do jack up the prices a lot. The prices here are not that bad. And I always try, if I'm in a place, even if the prices are more expensive, if I'm there using your resources and stuff, I try to buy local stuff. I try. Now, it doesn't mean I don't stock up when I'm near a Walmart, but if I'm in a smaller town and I'm using your resources, I'm on your BLM land, I try to, buy my groceries there, do things that help the community. I try to pick up trash when I'm there, do things like that to help the community, to give my love to them, so that, because they're giving me all this love by letting me come and be in these beautiful places. Okay, what else? Let me check my notes and then I will come right back. I may be getting close to the end. Okay, here's another thing. Here's another reason, a big reason I'm over budget. Wanderlust. I want to move around. Since I have not traveled much, the kind of traveling I used to do was, I have a friend in San Diego, I'm gonna fly there or do a long weekend in LA or Venice Beach or whatever. And so you fly into the city, you rent a car, you do the touristy stuff and all that, and then you fly home. Like, those are the kind of trips I have mostly done. And I traveled quite a bit like that, especially when I was younger, young professional, traveled sometimes for work and all that different kind of, had disposable income, did trips like that a lot. But I have not driven the United States. I have not been in the desert. I have not been in the mountains. I've been in plenty of beaches, but it's everywhere in between that I have not been. So there's so many places I want to see. And as soon as I start researching somewhere I want to go, I get all excited, and there's so much else I want to see that I travel a lot. So it's not just the back and forth to Kansas City, but it is the, once I'm out here, I'm like, oh, now that I'm this far out west, I need to go to Tucson, and then I need to go to Southern California, and then I need to go to Joshua Tree, and then I need to go, right? Like, there's all these other places I want to see. So moving around constantly costs a lot of money. And again, moving time means gas, it means snacks, it means maybe more eating out, because you have a long drive day. you don't want, you're sick of peanut butter and jelly and you don't want to cook in the van. I don't want to cook in the van if I'm at Walmart or if it's over 75 degrees or for a whole lot of other reasons, right? So it just, whenever I'm traveling a lot, you incur a lot more of those expenses. So I will say now, I came to Quartzsite. It took me like 4 days to get here, maybe 5. And I've been here for 10 days. I have spent less per day since I've been here. Now, getting here was 1,500 miles and all that entails, but I did eat out a lot less than I usually do. I mean, a lot. I mean, I've been progressively over this year eating out less and less, and I'm proud of myself. You can tell. I'm giving myself a big pat on the back. Good job, Dani. No hotels. Good job, Dani. So, working a lot better. It's doing a lot better on the budget. This trip, I have this mindset of I'm staying in one place longer. I'll be here in Quartzsite another 3 or 4 days, and then I am going to go someplace else, but I think I'm going to go someplace else and maybe stay my 14 days. If I did that, this would definitely be the cheapest trip. When I look at my expenses and my budgeting I look at everything and then I do a per day and say, okay, like one of my first times out, I averaged like $70 a day. And then the next big trip, I averaged more like $60 a day. And then the next trip was more like $50 a day. Like I have gotten progressively better. If I can keep up what I'm doing now, this will be per day the cheapest trip I've ever taken. Now, if I go crazy and decide I need to do 12 other things, that's different. But I really do feel like at the beginning of this new year, winter is a time for reflection. It's a time for, for some it's hibernation, but the shorter days, it's made for kind of cocooning a little bit. And so I'm out here in the sunshine and everything, but we have a lot of hours of the day where it is dark and there's a lot of introspection. There's time for inner work and all of that. And Quartzsite's been amazing, but I've been do, meeting people, being social, doing campfires, meeting some of my YouTube people. I'll show you those in other videos. And I'm really ready once this next few days is over for a time of contraction, for a time of going within, and that will probably mean being on my own, being in nature on my own. And even as I say that, I just feel this energy like, and I get tears coming to my eyes. That sounds amazing. Because I love people, I love being here, I love my little small group, my friend Sharon, and I made some other friends, and shout out to Charlene, and to Novi, and to Craig, and Ronnie, and Mike were here for a little while, and Mary's here, and so I love being around these people, and being in these small group participation things, right? Like one-on-one or something with people. But I'm really looking forward to kind of just getting away from it all and being on my own. And that's the cheapest, and that is the most replenishing, right? So it won't be like huge adventure, outward adventure, it'll be more inward adventure. And here I am blabbering on about something else. You didn't come to this talk on budget to hear all that stuff, but if you're still here, then you listened anyway. Thank you so much. I love you. I'm sending you a ton of love. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to put my picture of my patrons on the end. That's everybody who was a patron in 2021, who started being a patron in 2021 and is still a patron. I have to thank them. I have to thank you if you're still here. And let's do this. I'm getting better and better at the whole budgeting thing. I remain cautiously optimistic. But this experience has been worth it. It's been worth every penny. It's been worth any sacrifice I made to do it. It has been so worth it so far. And I'm talking like it's over. It's not over yet. But I am giving a lot of consideration and thought to the end and what's next and all of that. So we'll see. I'm open and more will be revealed, right? So thank you, everybody. Sending you a ton of love. Bye for now.